anyways, we do have a caller.
Oh, yay.
Oh, my God.
Kenneth Leonard.
Guess who it is?
The Kenneth Leonard.
So for those
of the Atheist Experience.
Hi, Kenneth Leonard from the Atheist Experience.
That's an exaggeration. Kind of accurate, kind of not. Hey, it's about money, you guys. And like, I'll just talk about healthcare. Yeah, I don't want to just like start ranting, but
please do it.
Yeah, we're open to it.
I was thinking about how in the United States, I think that there's a problem with, in our culture, we sort of link a lack of money to like some kind of moral failure. Like if you don't have money, that it says something bad about you. And that if you do have money, well, you must just be a good person who works hard, even though those judgments have nothing to do with reality.
Oh my God, that hurts just to think about.
Yes.
Because I thought that way too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh no, I think we're losing him.
Got it?
Yeah.
And
okay.
And again, I'm trying not to make this too political, but I do constantly see this from one particular group, and it's the constant demonization of poor people. And they're just lazy. They just need to work hard. That's not how it works. Like, sure, yes, work hard plays into it, but you can't just tell them to work hard and all of a sudden they're going to have money. Like, there are countless people that slave. Like my stepdad, for instance. He came to this country. When he was 18, and he worked 2 full-time jobs, but he was a cook. And those full-time jobs usually were like 50 hours a week. He'd be working 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at one restaurant, and then 3 to 10 at another, just to get food on the table for us. We didn't even have.
I mean, if working hard and being a good person made you rich in America, then like elementary school teachers would be the highest paid people. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that.
And oh damn it, I totally lost my train of thought. I hate
having to take on 2 jobs.
And what's sad is, my entire family still, like, some of them need insurance. They need better mental health support. They're having health issues and they're financially struggling, and yet they'll still sit here and do this whole, well, it's our own fault. We should have worked harder, or we should have done this. Like, no, you need help, and the government should be able to provide that. My parents should not be in the position they're in. And unfortunately, at times it seems they're just so misguided and so stuck on this, if you're poor, you're lazy. Like, and I don't, it's almost like the right has successfully convinced the country that you're a bad person if you're poor, as you were saying, like a moral failure.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I mean, well, there's a lot of, there's sort of like an American mythology that quickly breaks down when you look at the numbers. Thomas Frank had this amazing book that came out a few years ago called Listen Liberal. And in the beginning of it, he talks about how from the end of World War II all the way up into the early 1980s, the share of like profits that went to the American people, that went to workers, the bottom 90% of earners, was around 70%. But since those Reagan years to now, any guesses what that percent is in terms of real economic growth going to the bottom 90%? Wealth growth, wage increases, stuff that actually matters?
No, I actually don't know.
It's zero. It's actually zero. But when you see wages don't increase, meanwhile the cost of things like healthcare and housing continue to go up. You've got the wealthiest Americans still absorbing all the profits. I mean, the idea that people are poor because they're not good people or because they're not working hard enough is really an obscene, grotesque twisting of the facts, and it doesn't help most Americans. It just makes them feel shitty about themselves when they're already working really hard.
Right. And also, the fact that like with the rich people, they'll equate being rich to hard work. Like, how many people were born with silver spoons in their ass and didn't have to work? It was just handed to them. Like, being rich doesn't mean you're a hard worker. And the idea that any of us at any point could all of a sudden just start a business and make millions of dollars is just ridiculous.
Yeah, so just to kind of plug our Patreon. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a fantasy. It really is. It's mythology. It's this thing that gets dangled in front of you to be like, all you need to do is just have that one good idea, or work those extra hours, and the American dream will just unlock to you. But that's not how it necessarily works for anyone.
Mm. And our generation, the home buying generation, is learning the hard way right now. At least if you're looking to buy a home anytime soon, Jesus Christ, the housing market has shot up, and houses have like doubled in price since COVID.
Yeah, that's actually why my former partner is wanting to she wanted to like work, like clean the house up a little bit first, but now she's like, maybe I should just sell as is.
Yeah. I mean, people are buying up and flipping and becoming renters just all over the place and building houses, and oh my God, it's insane.
Yeah.
But the property values are going up. So it's like, if you thought your whole life that you were just going to be able to just grow up and just buy a house, that's a little less attainable than we were led to believe, at least where I grew up.
I mean, yeah, that's the promise of America, right? Is that if you come here, if you work hard, if you stay out of trouble, that you should be able to have a comfortable, safe, decent life for your family. I mean, that's the American dream, right? But in practice, it can be a lot harder to achieve. It's and the thing that kills me is just in the conversation about healthcare, for example. I mean, the costs of healthcare to consumers have gone up, but the actual costs of healthcare haven't gone up.
Right.
It's not like doctors are getting paid more, or the scientists who are doing the actual research and the work, but the sort of administrative class has continued to grow and build this whole industry around itself of being like, well, you can't get access to the doctors and to the medication and to the other stuff unless you go through us. And because you need this stuff, we can pretty much set the price at whatever we want. I would use the term evil.
Yeah.
I think profiting off of the desperation and misery of other human beings is evil. I don't know. Maybe I could be out in left field with that one.
So sorry, I missed that last part.
I said it may just be me, but I think profiting off the desperation and misery of your fellow human beings is evil.
Yes.
Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. I can't even grab them.
No, I mean, we're all pretty weird, but I'm pretty sure that's human. But no, I think that if there is a definition of evil, that would be a pretty good one.
And like with all things in the United States, everything comes down to a question of priority. Because, I mean, the idea that we can't afford healthcare for everybody is a fucking lie.
It's just BS, yeah.
We can afford to spend, $750 billion on defense every year. If we can afford to do that, we can afford to educate people. We can afford to get healthcare to people. We can afford to make sure that, that American dream is not an empty promise.
Yes.
That we actually can make sure that everybody in our country is taken care of. And the idea that people feel shitty about themselves if they can't get a piece of it, even while they're working as hard as they can, that's the thing that sucks, where it relates directly to mental health. Because being trapped in your circumstances and then feeling bad about yourself because you're being lied to about why you're there is a problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
By the way, Jenna, we've never figured out, like, if we ever need someone to fill in for you or I, Kenneth would be the perfect,
Oh, Jesus.
fill in where I need a day off.
Okay. All right.
And before I forget, real quick, so next Sunday, we do have a show. However, I am moving the day before. And I've already told my brother, the last thing we're taking down is my studio, and the first thing we're putting up is my studio. But just in case anything happens, there is a small chance that I doubt I'll have an issue. Should be fine. But just a heads up, just in case. Jenna, anything else you wanted to cover before we move on to our next caller?
Well, he actually got some wheels turning. The way that you worded one of the last things you just said about people just feeling bad about themselves and just getting into this cycle of just feeling worse because you can't afford this or whatever. And it's triggering a memory, a deja vu sort of from last night. I was on the Atheist Roundtable with Oz and Shannon Q and Dave Warnock and
that was an outstanding stream. That was
Myth
a very
Vision.
good stream. Everybody should check it out.
I agree. I think it was a great stream. There was a lot of really good information that was shared. Shannon Q is a boss on the brain. I love her.
Yeah, she's really, really upright.
And so basically what is triggering is this memory we were talking about indoctrination that way. So it's interesting that it's like money and indoctrination kind of go hand in hand. Am I right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're trained to think about things in a certain way. And the entire American relationship to money and labor, you can trace our way of thinking about stuff all the way back to Puritans. This idea is if you don't work, you don't eat. This stuff. I mean, it's still ingrained in our psychology today. I mean, we're not far enough removed from our wacky fundamentalist, crazy ass roots.
Right.
Witches and shit back in the day. We're still doing all this same crap. It's pretty frustrating how we don't learn. So yeah, our notions when it comes to thinking about scarcity, thinking about money, thinking about the ethics of work, what we value. We're still stuck in thinking about things, frankly, just like unreasonably.
Right. Well, and it's not to pick on any kind of theist of any sort, not to pick on them, but it does seem like when you get to that kind of thinking, that kind of belief system in your brain, that almost goes hand in hand with that belief that you deserve to have to work for healthcare. You deserve to have to work for anything. It almost seems like those values almost go hand in hand. So I'm just trying to, while not trying to pick on anybody, just kind of pointing out a commonality. And causation does not imply, or was it, how does it go?
Causation does not, correlation doesn't equal
correlation
causation.
does not imply causation. I'm just wondering if there's more to that.
Oh, of course there is. And I mean, even to throw one more wrench into this, I mean, how many of our friends and neighbors, if they hear someone is sick, their response is, well, God may be trying to teach them something. They don't need universal health care. They need, they need prayer. They need whatever, it's their faith isn't strong enough. That's why they're going through this, these kinds of ideas. I mean, these are barriers to progress without a doubt.
Right. It seems that the entire party.
If that offended anybody, just direct all your hate mail toward Ethan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to throw out there about money and mental health? Because we luckily we have two other callers.
Oh, well, I'm out of here.
Well,
no.
For those who don't know, Kenneth and Shannon Q are going to be on YFNA tomorrow with Vila Bianca. We started a new show, and tomorrow will be the pilot episode. Basically, Kenneth Leonard will be debating Shannon Q on 3 selected topics while eating progressively hotter hot wings. Yes, if you're familiar with the format, it is something Hot Ones does, except we're doing it debate atheist style, and we're going to try and make it as fun as possible. So the real question is, who's going to give up first, Kenneth or Shannon? Kenneth, do you have any new interviews coming out? For those who don't know, you can see Kenneth on youtube.com/Kenny Leonard.
Highly recommended by us each personally.
The Captain America of atheism.
Well, thank you. Oh, okay, well, it's getting weird now. But I've got a bunch of feelers out there, some stuff that may be coming up that I'm pretty excited about. In the interim, I'm still working on getting the series out about fallacies. So, yeah.
Well, Kenneth, as always, thanks for being a contributor and friend.
Thank
Adios.
you.
Talk to you later.